When is anger a problem? Anger can be a problem when it pushes someone away at the exact moment I need them to support me. We have two kinds of emotions. And the first kind will always help us. And the second kind usually creates trouble. The first kind of emotions are called core emotions. And they arise because we need them. We need to be able to recognize if our needs are being met or not met. If I have a problem in front of me, if I'm thinking of anger, if I have a problem in front of me that I'm trying to work on, and it's getting worse and I can't cope with it, then my anger is telling me that I need to put it down. I need to take some space. You can think of anger as like the wiring in a house. And every house has circuit breakers, and there's a really important reason for that. Is that as the electricity is passing through the wires, they heat up. And if the circuit breaker doesn't switch off, the house will burn down. So what emotion teaches us, it's a signal within us that we need space. We need to put the problem down. And that will never do me harm, to be able to stop and say, I need a time out, I need a break. That's a good use of anger. It's a good response to it. Anger can also be a signal to others if they're crossing our boundaries, if they're maybe yelling at us or being critical in a way that we're not able to hear. We might want to say, I'm not okay with that. Sometimes, however, my emotion can be a secondary emotion, which means that it's a response to the first emotion I feel. It's a desire to sort of cover it over. So let's say my underlying emotion or my core emotion is sadness. Something happened which is not what I wished for. But maybe I've learned that it's not okay to feel sadness. So I try to cover it over with anger. Or maybe I'm worried. Maybe I'm having a discussion with somebody and I don't like where the discussion's going and I'm starting to feel anxious. The core emotion, the underlying emotion, is most likely to help me. If I express sadness, then usually the response that I would get would be understanding. If I express fear, a response I might receive from that would be reassurance. But when I express anger, the response that I will receive probably is defensiveness. If I'm pushing somebody away with my anger, it's very difficult for them to hear what I'm saying. Anger is not about me, it's about somebody else. That's the distinction between anger versus the more vulnerable emotions of fear and sadness. When I express fear and sadness, I'm speaking about myself, about a need of mine that wasn't met or that I imagine won't be met. But when I express anger, I'm talking about somebody else, about what they're doing wrong. That's fairly instinctive for people to get defensive when they are told that they're doing something wrong. So it becomes really ineffective for me to try to communicate that way. If anger is getting in the way for you from expressing to somebody what you need, then take a moment, put the anger down, take a break. Come back once you've been able to let the anger go and see if there is something more vulnerable underneath it that you'd like to share. Try expressing that. Share with somebody what your worries are. And just see if the response that you get is more helpful to you, more understanding, more compassionate. If you have difficulty recognizing what the vulnerability is underneath your anger, then it might be helpful to see a professional, to see a counselor, a therapist, and maybe become more attuned to the underlying emotions that you might be feeling. And you can also learn how to communicate in a way that expresses that vulnerability rather than blame. So I hope that's of some help.